Yo, have you ever felt totally overwhelmed with the amount of client work you have to do and just keeping tasks up and figuring out which project you need to tackle next and what the due date is for the next deadline and all that good stuff? If so, I got you covered with a brand new Trello tutorial all about how to turn Trello into the perfect CRM. Coming up in this episode. What's up, familia? I'm so excited to have you here, and today we're diving into your most highly requested topic, which is how to manage your business inside of Trello. And specifically, this episode you voted on and said you wanted to see how to handle client work, how to juggle it all inside of Trello in a CRM. So I decided to go ahead and pull one of our bonus videos inside our latest course all about online selling for service providers and share with you exactly how to turn Trello into a magical CRM that helps you manage all the things inside your business when you're selling services and handling clients. But hey, before we dive into the episode, don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoy the content, and of course subscribe so you never ever miss another Trello tutorial like this one, and of course all the other amazing business building and online marketing strategies we share with you every single week en el canal. So do it, por favor, ahora mismo, because I need it. I need you to share the support and love so we can find other people to share this awesome content with. And I know you're not selfish, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend, and let's dive into today's lesson. All right, so in this lesson, we're going to cover exactly how to create your CRM board for your own personal workflow. And now remember, right, CRMs technically help you create both, that process of selling and closing a new client and onboarding them, as well as completing ongoing projects and servicing that client. Now, we've broken down this process into two separate boards, right? We have the sales of pipeline board and we have the CRM board, which you can name whatever you want. This is just for my purposes. This is how I like to teach it and organize it. I think you should have those separated out in Trello just because it's a lot easier to keep, right, your ongoing client work in one board and then have your sales pipeline, meaning the leads that come in, the meetings that you have, the proposals that you send out, in a separate list or a separate board inside of Trello. So let's get started. The first list you see here is a list of instructions, right? This is how to use that board. Of course, as you copy it into your own Trello board, you can archive this list and it would look something like this. Now we have a basic workflow, right? Client to-dos, due soon, in progress, and then completed, because we're assuming that we're a service-based business. This is specifically for service-based businesses, but you can adapt it really to any type of business model that you have. I just created it that way, right? So we'll have a linear process here where we have the things that we need to do, the things that are due soon, right? So projects that are due soon. You can even, switch these out and say, okay, I want things that are due soon here, and then I want to see the client to-dos on this list, or kind of, adapt it to your own workflow. Then we have what's in progress, so the projects that we're currently working on, and then the projects that have been completed. Now, the way that I like to organize this is through different types of clients, right? So we have different examples for each client, but if I was servicing multiple clients, each of these lists would represent an individual client. So for example, I would have here client projects, for client X or client Y, and then client Z. And that way I would organize all of my clients and all their individual projects in one board. Now you'll notice that I actually have, right, individual types of businesses here because I wanted to give you three different examples. So this would be an example if, let's say, I was running a cake decorating business. I would theme it out this way. If I was running a marketing consultant business, and this would be the example for that type of business, really any type of consulting. And then if I was like a nutritionist, for example, this is how I would theme it. But remember, it's all about adapting this to your individual needs because we have so many types of service-based businesses in the community. I thought it would be fun to give you an idea of how this can work for different business models. But for your individual business, remember, we're sorting these through clients, right? So client 1, client 2, client 3, and so on and so forth. And last but not least, this is where we're going to schedule meetings and have that good stuff there. All right, so let's kind of go through my process of thinking as I go through this individual, business, and you can see different types of workflows and how they can work for you. So number one, let's say that I was decorating cakes and I know nothing about this business. I just kind of envisioned this was the process. Yeah, I watch a little bit too much Cake Boss, but this is kind of how it goes, right? So I would have my cake notes here, right, from my initial meeting with the client, and you can jot those down here. You can attach, let's say, a Google document to this board, and boom, I have my cake notes, so I know what I'm going to be creating, and I'll put that at the top of this list because this workflow is really a kind of linear workflow, right? We have a beginning to end service. So that process is going to begin and end for each client on a very short period of time. Whereas some of the other models we're going to talk about here, they're ongoing, right? Okay, so number one, I'm sketching my design for client X and kind of attach my sketch here. Again, adding notes, setting deadlines, really important, all really cool things that you can add. Then I'm going to create my 3D demo so that I can present the cake in 3D to my client via software. I meet with the client for a sketch approval, and then any changes that, happen to the design will go here. Then I make my ingredient list, I schedule a test bake, and then I confirm the delivery and the address, and then I deliver and party on, right? So that's kind of how that process works. Of course, you're going to want to go ahead and attach deadlines for each of these miniature projects, right? Because we're breaking down one large project into sub projects or smaller projects that will allow us to get to the final result, which is delivering our cake, our beautiful cake, on time and with satisfaction. So that's kind of what that process looks like. Of course, coming in here, really important. You can also use your imagination, right? Let's add an address, for example, here. This is where I would put that information, and then I would make sure that I'm confirming that address before, like 1 week before we actually deliver the cake, just as an example, right? That's something to have in the due date so that we get a notification. You can also add multiple members if you're working with a team, right? Add people that are responsible for this individual task. Maybe that's something that you're outsourcing or delegating to someone else. Really helpful. So, of course, you don't want to forget that you can also add checklists, right, and break down projects even further. So let's say that I want to create my ingredient list here. I'm going to go ahead and do that, right, through a checklist. I can write here, X amount of flour. I assume there's some eggs involved, butter, no idea how to make a cake, so sure. This is what I can think of, right? So we'll go in here, make our list of ingredients, check those off as we go along, and that process continues. Again, just a basic way of using Trello, but such a powerful, way of organizing your client projects and just making sure you're staying on top of everything. As I'm creating or starting a project, right, I'm going to go ahead and click on whatever is due soon, right? So I'm going to put that here, move this over. Hey, by the way, this is due in a few days. Let's make sure that we hit that deadline and we don't fall behind on this client's work. I also need to make sure if I'm beginning something, right, I'm moving it into the progress board, and then as it's completed, I'm moving it over to the completed board. Now you can do that with multiple things, right? Let's say that these are the things that need to happen this week. I'm going to move that into the to-do list. Boom, and then as I begin each one, I will either move it to due soon or in progress. So that's really helpful as you can kind of move your progress along, right, in that sense, from the client to-dos all the way to completed. And then, of course, if there's anything that, continues to be, something that's recurring or something that you want to add on, of course, do that, right? That's just the entire idea of this whole process. So let's put that back where it came from and move on to the next example, which is a consulting example. Now, for the consulting example, I think it's really important that we understand that this service is an ongoing service, right? So we're assuming it is, I'm assuming it is. And so when you are creating a workflow for a recurring service-based business, meaning you consistently service a client through X amount of months or maybe years, or maybe it's, to be determined how long, it's important that you have really up-to-date projects, right? This is going to change and evolve consistently as the client's needs change. And so being in this specific business, which I've been a part of for a few years and loved, this is kind of what the workflow looked like for me. But again, kind of editing this to what it looks like for you. And I would do this for each individual client. So if I had, let's say this entire workflow, I would create that as soon as I'm onboarding my new client, and then I would have 7, 8, at one point I managed 17 different clients at the same time, and about like 56 or 57 social media accounts. So it was a lot, not to mention blogs, websites, you name it, right? So really important to stay organized and not miss anything, because it's so easy for things to fall through the cracks. So first thing, I'm going to create a marketing plan for that client. I'm going to audit their social media strategy. I'm going to meet with a photographer to brainstorm and whiteboard some story ideas for, the next campaign. I'm going to write my notes, when I meet with the photographer. I'm going to add those notes here. I'm going to iron out the upcoming book launch, assuming, let's just pretend that the client is coming out with a new book, redesign the homepage, update the shop page, and then batch content for Instagram and get it approved. So all of this is kind of those, floating projects that happen as part of your services if you were, for example, doing marketing consulting or even, something like social media marketing. So in this case, of course, you want to set due dates for each individual one. You can add a layer of specificity, I would say, through labels, right? So you could say something, hey, this is a priority. So we would add a label that says priority right there, make it red, and that way we know, hey, this is something we need to tackle soon, and perhaps even move it over here into the do soon list, and so on and so forth, right? We want to set deadlines for each one. As we're kind of going through maybe auditing the social media strategy, we'll go in, make a checklist of all the things that we need to see. We need to see engagement ratios. For example, we need to see fresh content ideas, consistency, etc. So we'll kind of go through that, right, process, and maybe that subcategories there, boom. Maybe this is related to what you're gonna, what's gonna happen after the social media audit, right? Maybe you come up with a new social media plan, or you draft it. Outline those processes here, right? The whole idea is to make this a project and then outline all the individual tasks that you have to complete so you stay on track. It's easy to, follow through. And a lot of people say, hey, oh my gosh, Kim, this takes too much work. I have it all in my brain. And that's a huge mistake, right? I always tell my students, 20 minutes of planning in the morning every single day, and then an hour of planning every week, and then a day of planning every month actually saves me at least 40 hours every single month in just remembering what I need to do and going back and missing things and having things fall through the cracks and then not prioritizing what I need to prioritize. And then more importantly, spending all this time and energy trying to figure out what I need to work on. So we're not going to, subscribe to that mentality of planning is a time constraint or it's a time suck. Planning actually saves you a ridiculous amount of time. In fact, you would be extremely, extremely remiss to not follow through with a serious organization and planning strategy, because in the long run, it saves you a ridiculous amount of time. It actually helps you become way more productive, and it helps you leverage that momentum of when you're getting things done. You get that insane dopamine hit when you complete a project. Trust me, it is scientific, and I'm happy to link multiple research studies below so you can check out the power of organization and the power of just being strategic with the way that you spend and invest your time. All right, so that would be, kind of the client ongoing service-based model in this case, right? Which is, again, the same exact process. And then let's move into, let's bring this back up here. Great. Let's move into a nutritionist, right? So maybe you see a client for an X amount of time. So this is kind of in between. It's a recurring, but they're ideally should be an end date, right? For when you kind of have taught your client how to live and eat in a very healthy way. You've changed their lifestyle, and now it's just a matter of maybe checking in every 6 months or checking in every year. So this process is a little bit different, but it's still really, really cool. And again, I just want to show you ways of adapting this into your own business. So let's say that, we have our first meeting notes, kind of patient intake information. You can definitely add all of this here, have your assistant do that, so that you have all their pertinent information at the very top of your list. Then you have, read lab results, and maybe that's something that's going to take you 20 minutes. Maybe it's something that's going to take you longer. So that's that next step. And then create initial 30-day meal plan. And again, remember, you can choose to organize this however you'd like. Maybe the intake process is one card, and then you have read lab results, create initial 30-day meal plan, and schedule follow-up as checklist items within that card. It's up to you in terms of how you want to add this and incorporate it into your workflow. This is just how my brain works. I like to be visual, and for me, for example, reading lab results might encompass multiple steps. I want to have those, and then creating the 30-day meal plan, more steps, and the schedule follow-up, very simple, right? That could just be a checklist item, but again, just using your imagination and working with how you best function and how you are most productive. All right, so next we have get client set up on a meal tracking app, review her numbers, and then compile recipes for next month's meal plan. So one of the cool things you can do with projects like this, you can add pictures, right? You can add pins from Pinterest. You can add a bunch of different resources here in the link section. And so, for example, I just want to show you something really quick. I do this all the time with my team where we see something on Pinterest and we're like, oh, this would be a great resource for our clients or, our members in the business lounge. Let's pin it. And so let's say that I'm looking for, I don't know, vegan keto recipes, and I'm thinking about creating a meal plan, and I need some inspiration. I know my client, likes a specific type of food, so I will go in here and say, oh, look, this Mexican wild rice looks super good. Mexican cauliflower rice, I should say. And then boom, just gonna add that here, and just literally copy and paste, and that's the pins right there. Another thing you can do is actually go in and drag the image if that's something that you need to do. Boom, dropped it. Perfect, right? Super simple. I have the direct link instead of the Pinterest pin, so that way you're going straight to that article and just, hitting up that specific recipe. And then again, if you wanted to copy images over, you can also do that. And there's the image. So just little hacks that can save you lots of time. And overall, just keep your workflow in check. Again, same exact process. Once I'm ready to tackle one of these projects, I'm moving it over to our due soon or client to-dos. Once it's in progress, boom, I started moving it here, completed, done, archived it, it's over. And you can literally watch how your, client to-dos shrink for the next 30 days or however long you are, servicing them for. All right, so I hope this was helpful. I hope this gave you a good framework of how to handle and manage client projects. So it's not this tedious thing. You actually look forward to your planning sessions. So you know exactly what you're going to work on for each client during the next 30 days. You have clear and simple instructions on how to communicate with those clients. You have notes from your meetings, you have assets that are important. And again, one of those things that really changed the game for me when I started my own service-based business is having everything in one place, making that extra time and effort into planning the way that I was going to run my business that month allowed me to then have extra time to close more clients, handle more of a delegation strategy for my team, increase my earning potential because I was marketing my business, spending time creating my own content, servicing my own business, and that just changed the game for me. So hopefully this productivity tip really helps you, remember you can copy this board straight to your Trello account as part of our Zero to Profits program. Thanks so much for watching. All right, fam, there you have it. Exactly how to turn Trello into a bomb CRM to handle your client work so you never, ever, ever lose track of what's happening with what client, deadlines, who needs to be invoiced, how you need to get paid, and all that good stuff. I hope it was helpful. If it was, hey, answer this question. This is the question of the day. What is the most unique way you use Trello? Let me know in the description box below, in the comment section, right down there, because I've heard so many awesome uses for it from you guys from the community. Personally, I use it to plan my move, my wedding, literally my grocery list, anything I have to do decor-wise in the house. I just love it. So let me know in the comments below, what is the most unique way you use Trello? And of course, make sure that you subscribe to our early bird list for a brand new course all about selling specifically for service providers. So if you've been wanting to launch your service-based business, this is exactly how to get started in a weekend and get your first clients in the next 30 days. So we're laying it all for you. It's totally organic, totally full hustle mode. You're not gonna pay for ads or anything crazy. It's all about growing your brand and getting paid ASAP. So definitely check all the details in there because you're gonna get early bird access, discounts, bonuses, all that jazz in the comment section, not in the comment section, in the description box below is all that good stuff. It's totally free to sign up for the early bird list. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, don't forget to check out our business building series, which is part of this video. I would love it if you would give us some feedback on what you'd like to see next as well. So I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. Un beso. Ciao.
I feel the warmth of your skin. I feel the touch of your hand.